On this Ram 1500 Classic with the 5.7 Hemi, P0441 means the PCM may not be seeing the expected fuel tank pressure change when it runs the EVAP Purge performance check. The driver may only notice a MIL, and the truck can otherwise feel normal. Broadly, think about possible purge flow problems. A purge solenoid issue, restricted or leaking vacuum plumbing, an intake manifold vacuum port problem, a restriction between the canister and tank, or a fuel tank pressure sensor or 5-volt supply issue. Before diving into parts, start with the basic system checks and follow the diagnostic path in order. First, turn the ignition on and pull the codes with the scan tool. If other EVAP purge control, small leak, or large leak faults are active or pending, handle the applicable diagnostics for those first. If P0441 is the path you are staying on, confirm whether the scan tool has the SM/purge flow forced monitor routine available. Keep the monitor gates in mind. This diagnostic is meant to run when the SM switch closed during the last ignition off cycle or the large leak test is active, with battery voltage above 0 volts, fuel level between 12% and 88%, ambient temperature between 4 degrees C, 39, 2 degrees F, and 35 degrees C, 95 degrees F. Engine run time since start less than 30 minutes, and no purge solenoid control circuit fault active. If the SM/purge flow forced monitor routine is available, use it. Before starting it, vent any pressure or vacuum in the fuel tank by opening the capless filler with the vent, or by removing and installing the fuel cap. That brings tank pressure closer to atmosphere and gives the routine a cleaner starting point. The routine runs the EVAP checks and gives pass or fail information. In this diagnostic, the key purge performance signal is the fuel tank pressure sensor response. The SM switch helps the routine sort EVAP behavior, but the FTP sensor is what the purge performance diagnostic uses. Use the pass threshold column as the yardstick. For example, using a -50 Pa pass threshold, a pressure decrease of -20 Pa fails and a pressure decrease of -60 Pa passes. If all monitors pass and the pressure changes are well beyond the pass thresholds, the purge system is passing and does not need repair at that time. If everything passes but the pressure changes are close to the pass thresholds, and P0441 was the only code, look closely for a partial restriction in the intake manifold vacuum port or manifold hose. If side 1 passes, side 2 fails, and the vacuum created is very high, well below the SM regulation point of approximately -500 Pa with purge commanded on, then hold steady or bleeds off very slowly after purge is commanded off. Repair the restriction at the fresh air inlet filter or hose. If removing that filter and hose does not bring the vacuum back to approximately -500 Pa, the SM internal vacuum vent valve is stuck closed. If side 1 or side 2 fails because the FTP reading does not change or barely changes, and the SM switch closes while the large leak test fails, inspect for damaged, broken, or plugged plumbing between the canister, tank, and purge side, and check the charcoal canister. If side 1 or side 2 fails with little FTP movement, the SM switch closes and the large leak test passes, move to the canister to FTP sensor blockage check. If side 1 or side 2 fails and the SM switch does not close, or you suspect the purge solenoid, move to the intake and purge vacuum checks. When the forced monitor points you toward the canister to FTP sensor side, shut the ignition off. Remove the recirculation tube from the FTP sensor, attach a hand vacuum pump to the sensor, and while watching the FTP sensor on the scan tool, apply approximately 10-15 in Hg. If the FTP value changes, repair the restriction in the canister tube, recirculation tube, or multifunction control valve. Then rerun the SM/purge flow forced monitor to confirm the system is repaired. If the FTP value does not change, disconnect the FTP sensor connector, turn the ignition on, and check the 5-volt supply at the FTP sensor connector. The voltage should be between 4.9 to 5.1 volts. If it is in range, verify good pin-to-terminal contact at the FTP sensor connector. If the connector checks good, replace the FTP sensor. If the voltage is not in range, repair the 5-volt supply circuit for an open or high resistance. A lost 5-volt supply can leave the sensor signal stuck mid-range, and the PCM may not see the pressure change it expects during purge operation. When the path points toward purge flow or the purge solenoid, inspect the intake manifold vacuum port first. Remove the manifold hose from the intake manifold port and look for restriction or blockage from flashing or carbon buildup. If the port is restricted, repair that restriction and rerun the SM/purge flow forced monitor. If the port is clear, reinstall the manifold hose at the intake. Remove it at the inlet side of the purge solenoid. Start the engine, let it idle, and check vacuum supply to the solenoid. If vacuum is not sufficient, repair the broken or plugged manifold hose and confirm with the forced monitor. If inlet vacuum is sufficient, reconnect the inlet hose. Remove the line at the outlet side of the purge solenoid going toward the canister. Connect a vacuum gauge. Start the engine and let it idle long enough for the purge solenoid to cycle on. If outlet vacuum is sufficient, check the purge tube for damage, disconnection, or plugging, then confirm with the forced monitor. If outlet vacuum is not sufficient and the connectors check good, replace the purge solenoid and confirm with the forced monitor. One important point here: a restriction in the vacuum supply may not lower the vacuum reading, but it can still reduce flow enough to fail the purge performance test. So inspect the port and hose closely even when vacuum is present. If the scan tool does not have the SM/purge flow forced monitor routine, continue with the manual path. Start again at the intake manifold vacuum port. Remove the manifold hose, inspect inside the port for flashing or carbon buildup, and repair the port restriction if it is restricted. If the port is clear, reconnect the manifold vacuum line. Vent the system to atmosphere by removing the gas cap or opening the capless filler with the funnel. Then start the engine and let it idle. Monitor the FTP sensor and SM switch to determine whether the purge solenoid is leaking. The purge solenoid should not be on during this check. Disconnecting the purge solenoid connector makes sure it stays off, but it will set a purge solenoid control circuit code that needs to be erased after testing. A slight vacuum from fuel being pulled out of the tank can be normal, but it should not be low enough to close the SM switch. If the FTP reading drops sharply near the SM regulation point and the switch closes, replace the purge solenoid and verify the repair. If the purge solenoid is not leaking, allow the engine to idle long enough for the purge solenoid to cycle on. If the solenoid connector was disconnected for the previous check, reconnect it. It may be necessary to clear the fault if the solenoid will not activate. Remove the purge tube at the purge solenoid and check vacuum at the canister side of the purge solenoid with purge on. If vacuum is present there, go to the purge tube restriction check. If vacuum is not present, shut the engine off. Remove the manifold hose or tube at the inlet side of the purge solenoid. Connect a vacuum gauge to that hose or tube. Start the engine and check vacuum supply. If inlet vacuum is present but no outlet vacuum was available with purge active, replace the purge solenoid and verify the repair. If inlet vacuum is not present, repair the broken or plugged manifold hose or tube and verify the repair. Next, remove the purge tube from the vehicle and check whether it is pinched or restricted. If it is, repair the restriction or replace the purge tube, then verify the repair. If the purge tube is not restricted, check FTP sensor operation. Disconnect the recirculation tube from the FTP sensor, attach a hand vacuum pump, turn the ignition on, and watch the FTP reading while applying approximately 1015 in Hg. If the FTP value changes, repair the restriction in the canister tube, recirculation tube, or multifunction control valve. If fuel is found in the tubes or charcoal canister, replace the canister and check the tube that connects to the fuel delivery flange inside the tank for a broken line and proper connection to the flange. If the FTP value does not change, disconnect the FTP sensor connector and check the 5-volt supply at the connector. It should be between 4.9 to 5.1 volts. If it is in range, verify pentaterminal contact at the FTP sensor connector. If the connector checks good, replace the FTP sensor. If the voltage is not in range, repair the FTP sensor 5-volt supply circuit for an open or high resistance. Keep verification separate from the testing. When a repair is made on the forced monitor path, rerun the SM/purge flow forced monitor and confirm the system passes. On the manual path, verify the repair and confirm the code stays gone. The takeaway is simple. P0441 is a flow-end response diagnosis, so prove the FTP sensor can report pressure change, prove the purge vacuum path can actually flow, and only replace a component when the test path supports it. For more diagnostic training, visit stepdiagnostics.com.